What is up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. I'm going to be doing my Expo pickups video, but before I share the pickups, I do want to discuss just some thoughts on some mistakes that I made and kind of go through like what I was thinking and why the mistakes happened. So, I'm going to make it real quick, but there was a few things that I did that I kind of wish I evaluated a little bit differently. For one, going into the show, I didn't really know what to expect fully. Being new into collecting hockey and collecting the Dallas Stars, specifically the current players, it kind of limits what I'm actually going after. And my hope was to possibly go into bargain boxes, find some of the stuff like this Sagan here, the platinum portraits, some of those Metal Universe, those EX, those types of inserts, and find them at a relatively cheap price. I didn't have much of I didn't really have targets. There was one card. Funny enough, it's a cheaper card. I just thought it would be fun to try to find one and buy it in Canada. But I was looking for a 1990 O-Pee-Chee Ken Griffey Jr. I did not ever find one there. I had a couple other things. I'm working on the 1977 General Mills Star Wars ad pack sticker set, and I'm doing the set in the Canadian version. I thought maybe I could, possibly find one or two of those there since I would be in Canada. There was a good presence of non sports, specifically Star Wars, but nobody had those. So, even going into it with a plan of sorts of a few things that I had on my mind to target, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find them. After that, it was kind of spiraling, just kind of going around looking, at showcases and seeing if there was any Dallas Stars cards that piqued my interest, but without actually having anything specific that I was looking for, it did throw a wrench into things at times. So, the mistakes of not purchasing. Um, I had an opportunity. There was actually two different dealers at the show that had the Jason Robertson gold foil cup RPA, which is numbered out of 24. One dealer had one. He had a sticker priced at 700 Canadian. All prices I disclose actually throughout this video is going to be Canadian, just so you're aware. But that dealer had it priced at 700 Canadian, and then I found another dealer shortly after that that had one, and he had it sticker priced at 500 Canadian, and said that he actually could do 450. His patch was nicer. Now, this is where procrastinating and like mind battling myself really is a disadvantage at times. So in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I already have a Cup RPA Jason Robertson. Do I need to spend 450 Canadian on another copy just because the serial number is lower? What I should have said was 450 Canadian is a really good deal, and I could sell the current RPA I have and make back some of the money I'm spending, so it would essentially be an upgrade at little or potentially no cost. And I just kept battling around. I had showed Carlos the card. He thought it would be, smart to pick up the lower serial numbered. I text my wife. She told me I needed to go get it. And I kept talking and allowing myself to be talked out of it in my head to the point where I actually went back and I asked the dealer, is there any chance you could do 400? And he said, no, I got to be at 450. Now, keep in mind, the difference of 50 Canadian is somewhere between like $30 and $35 US probably. And after like the whole scenario went down, I'm like, I was pretty stupid. If I was willing to buy it at X and Y wasn't too far apart, why in the hell didn't I just buy it? But, it happens. I'm not mad. I'm just sharing this because maybe this scenario can help others. If you ever come across this situation. Anyway, I finally decided, all right, screw it. I'm going to go buy it. I went to buy it, and literally as I walk up to the table, another guy was putting the card in his case, like in his little Zion case or whatever. The card had been there all day. And when I finally decide to go purchase it, it just had gotten bought before I got there. So, that's kind of like, it was kind of like, hey, dummy, you should have just bought it. Another card that I missed out, there was a Rupe Hints. I can't remember specifically the set that it was, but it was a really nice card. It was signed in a gold pen. I love the gold ink autos on a black glossy surface. And it had a really nice patch, just a small patch window, but it had a really nice patch that was a part of the Stars, the shoulder patch that they have. This is Dallas Stars and stuff. A really nice looking card, and I probably could have gotten it for like 40 Canadian, which isn't much at all. And instead I walked away, I made like a little loop around, and I was like, dang, I should have bought that. And when I went back to the table, again, it was already gone. So those little mistakes. There was a Tyler Sagan jersey that I seen on Sunday. Dealer was asking like 65 Canadian. It was a nice stitched heavy duty Reebok, like one of the authentic jerseys. I don't own a hockey jersey, so it would have been a really nice one to add. It was a size 52, which if it converts the same as football jerseys, I wear a 52. So again, I don't know why. I like in my mind, as soon as I left, literally I was not even far from the show heading home, and I told my wife, I was like, I really should have bought that Sagan jersey. So those would be the mistakes that I would say I made. But I think we all have them probably at some point in our card collecting, show attending lives. The thing that most hurt about the Robertson, that was most silly, is I literally had sold enough cards at the show that I was ahead, like in what I had made versus what I had spent. I was way ahead of the 450 Canadian that it would have cost me to pick the card up. So that was just stupid of me. I will say again, every card that I brought with me, I sold at the show, so that was pretty awesome. I did not spend anything out of pocket of cash that I brought with me. Everything that I purchased literally was from funds of cards that I sold, so that was kind of cool. Except for the kick in the balls when I exchanged the money back into U.S. funds. That was another lesson that I had to learn. But anyway, all right, enough of that. Let's get into the cards themselves. I'm going to do it day by day. I'll tell you guys what I spent, and hope you enjoy. So opening the show, this was the first purchases I made. Dealer had a case and a box of cards. Everything was 50% off sticker. And so he had some of these Young Guns. Here's a Leon Bischel clear cut Young Guns. Here is a Maverick Bork clear cut Young Guns. Oscar Bach clear cut. And then also the Leon Bischel out of 250. This is the Deluxe Young Guns. So on those, I wound up spending 90 Canadian. And so that's probably like 60-ish US. So about $15 a card. Not bad, especially considering 3 clear-cut Young Guns of players that are actively playing on the team right now. So I thought that was a pretty good deal there. The next card I bought, I didn't buy a lot, actually. Although I was there Thursday, really enjoyed. I was more browsing. So I bought this early, like soon as, not long after I got to the show. all day long I had looked for this card. I could not find one. And then I had told Carlos, hey, I've, I've been looking for one. I can't find it. I can't believe I can't find it. And he actually came across one. And then throughout the rest of the, the days of the show, I think I've seen about 6 more of them. But it is a Jake Ottinger Cup RPA out of 249. Got this for 300 Canadian, which is probably in the range somewhere 200 to 215-ish maybe. So not a bad price on that. It was a card I was looking for, and so glad to add the Ottinger with the Robertson. And then final pickup of the day on Thursday, I bought this for the wife. She loves the mascots and she likes the Kraken. Thought this was cool. It is a Bowie clear cut Young Guns. She also likes clear cuts. She seems to do very well pulling them. So the Bowie Young Guns clear cut, I did pay 25 Canadian for that. So that was my Thursday or day 1 pickups. Day 2, first pickup, this was by from a dealer, and I apologize if you watch, I did forget your name, but he had watched the podcast and everything and seen The Walking Dead, me talking about The Walking Dead stuff that I purchased from Heritage. And he had this one Walking Dead. This is Christian Serratos, or Rosita from The Walking Dead. He had it stickered at 75 Canadian. He said, if you're interested in it, I'll do better. I said, okay, what is your better? And he said, how about 50? So I thought that was an awesome deal. So I appreciate that. But that was my first pickup of the day. Second pickup of the day was this lot right here. Now, these were all in a dealer's case. I wasn't too familiar pricing on them. But it was, I wasn't fine. Like, after picking up those Young Guns and the Ottinger, I wasn't finding a whole lot of Star stuff that was really, I don't know if I was just hesitant to pull the trigger or what the deal was. So I actually had texted my wife and I was like, I don't know, maybe I should start a little side collection of goalie stuff. I don't know, it was just a thought. Again, if I had to do it over, I would have probably went a different route, but these were all in a dealer's case. He did give me a deal on them. Stickered, I think, was like 160 Canadian, but I got them all for 120. And it's what is it, like 5 of the Pinnacle masks, which are real cool with the Dufex from the 90s. So I do like these cards. I think I would have directed the money in a different direction maybe. But I paid 120 Canadian for these, so probably like $75 to $85 US. I'm just estimating the prices here, just so you know, to kind of give a US equation, but you can go look it up. But it was 120 Canadian for all of these. Basically, these he had stickered at 120. This one he had stickered at 40, and so I basically bought these, and he tossed the $40 one in free. But got those, and then I got 2 Flair hot gloves. I like these even in baseball, and so this was Ed Belfour and John Van Beesbrook. So I love the 90s die cut stuff. So those again were 120 Canadian. And then this was the last pickup I did of the day. This is the Thunder Noise Boys. I have the Jason Robertson Noise Boys. I really like the insert set. This is actually Jaromir Jagr, but in Dallas uniform, so I thought that was cool. So this one I paid 90 Canadian. I think he had it stickered at 125, I believe. So 90 Canadian, so probably like 60-ish US, somewhere in there. So that was my day 2 pickups. Day 3, by far the day that I spent the most. But first, started the day off, was digging through some bargain boxes, and I paid $8 Canadian for these 4 cards. These are both Jim Belushi Pro Set Platinum autographs on them. I thought they were pretty cool. I looked online. Looks like that they were a couple that sold for like 20 to 30 bucks, authenticated. I just think it's cool to have the Belushi auto. I might sell one raw to get some money back off of it, but either way. And then in honor of Eric, I had to pick up the Reggie Lemons. I found two of those in the box, in-person autos, both in the Boston uniform, so I had to put them in the mags upside down. But yeah, so $8 Canadian, what is that? I don't know, $5, so about $1.25 a card there. I'll take two Jim Belushi autos for that all day. Next was a pickup from a dealer that Carlos introduced me to. Actually, the evening before we left, we were at his booth, and I was kind of eyeballing a few things. And Carlos told me, he was like, dude, if he's really easy to work with. If you're interested, he'll even pull them out, or whatever. And so I went, back, went to the hotel and everything, thought on it, kind of looked at a few things. This is the other trouble, is not really being up on the hockey market, plus dealing with the conversion. It can be a little bit challenging. So I looked and kind of gauged where I wanted to be at on them. Went back the next morning, went to his booth, waited for him to come back. He was out running some errands. And I was like, hey, I'm interested in this and this, and threw a number out. And he was like, deal. And then he actually knocked a little bit more off of it just when I was paying him. So appreciate that. That was Steve. So I picked up a 2015 Metal Universe Red PMG. These are out of 150, but it's the Mikko Rantanen Rookie PMG. And then I also picked up this Miro Heiskanen limited logos from the Cup, numbered out of 50. Looking at these cards, they were all over the show floor. These are some of the most beautiful cards I think that Upper Deck makes. Most of the time they have a really awesome patch in there. Just nicely designed, clean, big patch window. You can get that chunky patch in there. And so for both of those, I paid $270 Canadian. So, what are you talking? Maybe, let's see. I don't know, 160, 170. I don't know how close my conversion is, but just to give an idea there, 270 Canadian on those two. The next buy I did was another bargain box. And again, the bargain boxes, most of them that I looked in, they were kind of difficult for me to navigate with not knowing really what the values on some of the cards should be. Because most of them, they would be like sticker priced at a kind of high price, but then the boxes would be like 50% off. Or the other thing dealers are doing were like $10 a piece, but buy 3 for $25 or something like that. But then when I would go and try to like get an idea of what the market value was on the stuff, it would be like, okay, they're not even worth $10. So even at $25, it's not really that great of a deal. So I was having to kind of navigate those waters. I wish the bargain boxes were a little bit more fruitful, because it's really what I was hoping to kind of like dig in, get acclimated with some of the cards that, are out there for hockey and stuff. It just didn't work out the way I had hoped. But for this stack here, I paid 60 Canadian. They were stickered up a good bit higher than that, but this is actually a Tim Hortons from 2015-16, and it is the Platinum Profiles. I thought it kind of reminded me of the older, one of the years that they did Platinum Portraits, but it's Alex Ovechkin obviously there. I just thought it was a real sharp-looking card. I can put it in my OV binder. Here was one. I didn't even realize they did O-Pee-Chee Chrome, but it's a Jeremy Roenick O-Pee-Chee Chrome Refractor. So you got that refractor shine there. Here's one of the inserts, like I said, I was kind of looking for. This is the EX Net Assets, Dominic Hasek. I like the EX and the Metal Universe inserts. Here was another masks. This was the John Van Breesbrook with the bees there on the Rangers mask. Here's a Medano Topps Mystery Finest Refractor. This is actually a McDonald's insert, hot gloves. So kind of like the other one, just not as die cut down here at the bottom, but it's Marty Turco. And then here is the Marty Turco Young Guns. And then this is like a retro throwback Young Guns Wyatt Johnston. So I didn't think that was too bad on this deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards for 60 Canadian. So not too bad on a per card price. And then the last one I bought on day 3 was this Mikko Rantanen. Oh, actually, this isn't the last one. I have one other card. So this is the Mikko Retro PMG. And the dealer actually had this priced at $125. I had seen it like 2 days prior and asked him about it. And he was like, the best I can do on it was $100 Canadian. And so I held off because I had noticed that on ComC there was one for $38. And so when I was like walking through, he noticed me and he was like, "Hey, weren't you the one that was we talked about the Metal Universe PMG?" And I was like, "Yeah, you had showed it to me, but we didn't get a deal worked." And he was like, "Well, how about if I do 60 Canadian?" And so at that point, having it in hand and everything, and it was a pretty clean copy, I went ahead and picked this up. So this one was 60 Canadian. And then the last card, as I said, I have one more. From day 3, I really like, me and my wife, we watched the show Dexter. I wanted a Michael C. Hall auto from the series for a while. They can be pricey. This had a sticker of 300 Canadian. I asked if they could do 250, and they said yes. Now, it does have some white on the corner there and a little bit right there, so it's not perfect. But this is the first series that Bragant released. And these do not pop up very often, especially for him. And some of them that do, they have like this ugly hologram on them that he signed. The last comp that I seen of this was $290 US. So for $250 Canadian, even with the white corner, for the PC, I'll take that all day. So I really appreciated the dealer on this one. And then we went back on Sunday for a couple hours. I spent $5 on a bag for my son. It was like an EB Games Destiny PS4 bag from like a con or something like that. I thought my son would like it, so I bought that for him. And then I did give Marcel Dion $20 and bought the goalie book that I forgot to bring up, but he signed the book and everything, and then he did include and give me one of his cards he had and he signed it for me, so appreciate that. So that's all of my purchases. I do have a few other things to share here. So this is the 2020 Topps Victor Robles Black. I had Carlos purchase this for me, and I had paid him. The dealer, there was a dealer or an eBayer in Canada, had this card at a much better price than the US sellers I could come across, but the shipping was high for me, so he picked it up and I was able to get it from him at the show. And then he also he gave me, let's see, I got him right here, the Holotypes Jason Robertson, the Martin Site, which these are really cool looking cards in hand. And then Stardate 3000, which this is another one that looks a lot better than the photos online. So that was a pretty cool one. So, and then Eric gave me an O-Pee-Chee Glossy Rookie, an Aimbots with Jeremy Swayman there as the goalie, and then a Parkhurst Champions Legends Brett Hall. So that is all of my pickups in terms of the card show and everything. I'm pretty happy. Like, obviously I got the Ottinger Cup RPA. I got the Michael C. Hall Dexter autograph. The two Miko PMGs. I like collecting the PMGs, so those are awesome. This Miro, like, I'm a huge fan of these limit. I see why people collect these now or try to do the sets. The patches in them are just so awesome. It's a different ball game, honestly. You might catch a nice patch like the Flacco back there on that NT RPA. It's a nice patch for the Ravens, but I have to say, seeing the limited logos and some of the hockey cards and the patches that were in them, I think hockey has the other sports blown away for the patches. It was awesome to see some. There was a really awesome limited logos, Matty Beniers for the Kraken rookie year even, but the dealer had a price tag that was probably like 2.5 times what the market value on the card was, and he wouldn't negotiate on it. So unfortunately, I had to pass. But yeah, I think overall, for a first time, successful show. I had a lot of fun, like I said before, and I'm pretty happy with the pickups I got. I know better strategy, know what to plan for, if we get to attend next year or in the future. The show was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I really I think I'm gonna start diving in and doing a little bit of homework on a few things to broaden my hockey collection and make the show even more enjoyable, having other options instead of being niched down. I did talk to some dealers. They said that they think that a lot of the star stuff is being tucked away with the potential of that team possibly being able to make a cup run. They think some dealers are actually stashing that stuff because they think that there could be a potential rise in it. I don't know of any truth to that, but I guess they would know better than I would. So that was interesting to hear. But yeah, overall, pretty happy. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a comment. Let me know what your favorite pickup was. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.